Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and welcome to the House of Bloodstein Mentralysis, Book 2 in the House of Bloodstein series, the final book. With luck, and I hope you've read the previous readings, the House of Bloodstein Perlamum, which is kind of required reading or listening if you're going to get a whole lot out of this one. These two books are directly related. In fact, they were written as one book that I had to slice down the center into two. So if you're new to the House of Bloodstein, you might want to back up a bit and listen to or read Perlamum. And then this book begins just days later. And you might be asking, Mentralysis, what the fuck is that? And that's a good question. And we will find that out within the pages of this book. Just like Perlamum, it's a weird concept invented by me, of course. And the things I invent are always weird. And Mentralysis is weird. It's based on what I think is reality. Of course, that might not mean anything, but just things I've noticed throughout my life. And I thought, I think this is the way things are, and I'm going to create a fake science to illustrate my thoughts, and I'm going to call it Mentralysis. I have all kinds of fake sciences within the pages of the League of Elder. I've got gynology, which is the study of enslaving, maiming, and killing men. I've got Kabbalism, which is basically witch doctory, quackery, whatever you want to call it. I have Anthakari, which is the art of hardening your body so that you are basically like a statue. And the Stellar Marines, practice that when they fire their gigantic SK pistols. Otherwise, the recoil would probably kill them. So stuff like that. And Mentralysis falls squarely in that fold. There were lots of loose ends in the previous book, Perlamum, still floating around. It's a complete story, but a lot of things still floating about, needing some sort of resolution, questions that need to be answered, and they will be answered within the pages of this book. A little bit of a formatting change. The other book didn't have any parts. You could read it straight through. It wasn't broken down into parts, which some of my books are. And this one, Mentralysis, it has 3 parts. And the first part is Dreams in the Wailing Room, which we'll be investigating today. There's 4 chapters in that one. And then the middle chapter is called The Immortal. And then the part 3, the final one, is called The Chadburn. The Chadburn, what the hell is that? We'll ruminate on that. First, Dreams in the Wailing Room. The way things go, whenever I have a 2-book series, it was the same with the Belmont Saga, with the Sands of the Solar Empire and Against the Druries. The first book isn't necessarily set up, but it sets up the second book. And then most of the really cool things, most of the creativity, at least in my opinion, happens in the second book. Now, and that was really the case with the Belmont Saga. With this one, there was plenty of action, plenty of cool things going on in the first book. But this one really delves into what was going on behind the scenes. I pumped every bit of creativity, every bit of my strange imagination into the pages of this book. And when it was finished, I really thought it was something special. And it kills me that it's so far at the end of the series. People usually want to start at the beginning books. That's why I've been reading these books, because they don't get a whole lot of traction at shows and so forth, because people usually want to start at the beginning, and these are way at the end. When I do sell them, I always try to sell them as a set, Perlamum and then this one, Mentralysis, because they belong together as a set. But, any author who's not a hack, and I like to think I'm not a hack, really, loves everything they publish. Like the latest thing they've published is, that's my best book ever. Well, this one is really, really special. When I got out of the Nixon zone, and that's just my shorthand for when I'm writing the book, and I'm kind of, the way I write, I don't take notes, I don't outline anything. I just start writing. with that method, I'm discovering the story the same time the reader is. The story is unfolding for me as the author, as it is for the reader, the person consuming it, the person discovering it page by page, and so forth. That can lead to the doldrums, where you're stuck. You're like, I have no idea, none, where I'm going with this story. I think it's cool. I like the direction it's going in, but I have no idea what's behind the next hill, what's behind the next turn. I have no clue. And you get into these doldrums, which I call the Nixon zone, where I'm kind of stuck. I'm like, if I get 50 words out in a day, that's good. I need to get this connective tissue on paper. I need to fight through these Nixons, these doldrums, and get to the end. And once I have a complete framework of the story, and it might be total crap, but once I get it down, then you get out of the Nixons, and then you look at what you've written, and that's when the creativity really starts. That's when it gets fun. Well, this one, everything just fell into place. I knew what I wanted to do. I'd finally gotten out of the Nixons. Everything just came together, and I think it came together for a really good, really exciting, very different story from the first one. I always try to strike new ground whenever I write something. I don't like to revisit things that pisses me off as an author. It should as a reader as well. And this one just rolled out, and it felt good. I'm like, this is good stuff that I'm creating here, and I think you'll enjoy it. So let's begin. Part 1, Dreams in the Wailing Room. Chapter 1, Alone. It's a fun time as we embark on a fresh new tale. Let's begin! Sam awoke to bright sunshine coming in through her giant terrace window. She stretched and probed about, searching for Kay's familiar form that was always in bed next to her, regular as the sunrise. The events of the last week had been truly tiring. Sarah and her bloody adventures. Sarah had dragged them all out into the wilds of space, to Xandar, a place Sam hated because number 6 was there, and then to Wham, where they ended up in the temple of a demented black hat named Wilhela Corman Grand. There were those hateful Wonderlucks from Remnath, and the piece of her heritage that they had stolen, the Morning Wall, sacred to her Astralon people. Had Kay and her friends not calmed her, Sam's anger would have been deadly. She felt the back of her neck. It felt smooth and blemish-free. Inez had repaired the gaping hole that had been there. One of the Wonderlucks had attempted to murder her, placing an illegal Zaffin hemolyzer on her neck. She recalled with a bit of terror the odd rushing feeling of her blood coming out in a pressurized cloud. The hemolyzer should have killed her in just a minute or two. Kay, along with the little silver tech familiar King, had saved her, and then Inez flawlessly healed her wound. She had been bled out by the hemolyzer. Inez gave her a Malik to keep her out for a few days, and a caloric to provide her with nourishment while she slept and healed. How long had she been asleep? It couldn't have been more than a day or two. What a terrible nightmare she'd had as she slept. She relived the feeling of the hemolyzer killing her, the rushing of blood, the fruitless gulps for breath, the fall into freezing cold, Kay's terrified eyes looking down on her as she died. And then there was something else. She dreamt of strangers in her room, going through her things, pawing at her helpless Malik'ed body and carrying her from bed. She recalled an odd sound, a bell-like ringing, and of being in a terrible presence. There was a creature, ancient and bereft of goodness, looking down on her, cold hands touching her Malik'ed body, red eyes. She recalled seeing the face of number 6 of the Xandar 44, a past rival for Kay's love, and her perpetual nemesis. The mere sight of number 6 was enough to drive Sam into a killing frenzy. But in the dream, she couldn't move. And then there was that smothering, the horrid feeling of losing one's senses and being buried alive, all replaced with a pervasive thrumming, ringing sound. It was like swimming down into the depths of Lake Monoma, like she would often do with her brothers and sisters, competing to see who could dive the deepest, unable to hear or see anything in the deep water, the pressure of her own heartbeat surging through her ears. She took a deep breath of clean air. It felt so good to cast aside the darkness and smothering of her dreams. She reached out for Kay again. He wasn't there. His side of the bed was rumpled and empty. Sam burst with new energy. She sat up. "Kay?" she called out. He must be in the closet getting dressed for the day. She stepped out of her nightgown and kicked it aside. Nude, she slinked into the closet, which comprised of 3 adjoining rooms and a second level opening up into a previously unused bell tower deep within the heart of the castle. It didn't used to be so large. Kay's boyhood closet had simply been one very large room, but Sam had wanted it expanded. She admired Lady Kylos's massive 3-story closet over in Harkness Tower and wanted something similar for herself. Their new multi-leveled closet was exactly what she had wanted. Cavernous, inviting, full of delights, and she loved wandering around in it, surrounded by all her things, rather like Lady Kylos did in hers. Whenever some of her sisters from the south came to visit, she immediately showed them her closet, and they marveled at it in envy, giving Sam great satisfaction. She moved through the closet, past the dreamlike racks of Kay's clothes, and the multi-tiered sections where her gowns, shoes, dresses, jewelry, and other trinkets were located. In all her life, she had never possessed so many clothes, so many colors, no black garments to be found. There was so much. A fully formed Snugs hummingbird she had named Paul fluttered about, keeping her area nicely warm, so she didn't need her medallion when inside. "Kay? Love, are you in here? I feel so much better this morning. Kay?" No answer. No Kay. Standing there nude under her veil of black hair, she guessed he must be downstairs already, eating. Odd. They always dined together. Perhaps he was going to bring her breakfast in bed. Breakfast! She was so hungry, she wanted to run down and surprise him. At the end of the closet, under a lofty, inlaid dome of the bell tower high above, was an illuminated pedestal supporting her unfinished jar of rock and orange clay. The Anuian jar. The making of the jar was a very exacting and tradition-laden process. Every month, when the moons were in the correct phase, she went south to Sam's ancestral home of Castle Astralon and continued its making. Sam, sitting on the lake shore, turning the jar with her knees, as Monomo women had done before her for ages, while Kay wandered the shore looking for the correct type of clay. Should be ready in about a year. Until then, they had to be careful not to allow the fecund Sam to become pregnant, as their male children, badly underdeveloped, would die without the jar. The jar, filled with brine and other minerals, would serve as an external uterus, sustaining them until they came to term. Standing under the Bronta-covered dome high overhead, she dressed quickly, eager to get downstairs and join Kay. She slipped on her knickers, followed by a comfortable blue dress, and stepped into a pair of sandals from HOBM that he had bought for her. Sam loved Vith footwear. After a lifetime of confining her feet in uncomfortable Monoma shoes, wearing elder-made flats and sandals was a joy. Seeing herself in the expensive mirror, she scoffed at her reflection. Poof! Her black hair was a tangled forest hanging to the ground. She would have to call for her favorite setter later and have it corrected. Perhaps a change might be in order. Cut her hair down to a shorter length, like the Vith ladies wore. She had never worn her hair short. That wasn't the Monoma way, but she was a Vith lady now, and Vith ladies wore their hair much shorter. She fancied a change might be nice, but Kay said he loved her hair as it was, in the Monoma style, long and thick, down to her ankles, a curling carpet. She would discuss it with him later. She ran a brush across her head several times and gave up. She had become used to letting the setters deal with it. That seemed to be something Vith women did, and she was Vith now. Fully dressed, she emerged from the closet and checked the terrace just in case Kay was out there enjoying the morning. Their comfortable wicker chairs where they had often held hands and watched the sunset were unoccupied. Stepping back inside, she took several deep whiffs. Her powerful monomer nose should be able to sniff him out without error. What was this? She found she couldn't smell much of anything. She should be smelling powders, oils, creams, perfumes, and other such things that she painted her face with, coming from the closet. She should be smelling a collage of mold in the stone and traces of menthol smoke locked in the fabric of the tapestries from long ago. Someone who lived here once smoked quite a bit. She also should be picking up the wafting notes of food being prepared in the kitchens far below, and from the bathroom, the faint smells of urine, scat, hair, and water mixed with soap, lotions, and cleaning agents. Mixed in with all those other sundry smells should be Kay's smell, the ghost of his scent, the faint wafting of his presence that was stamped in the past like an indelible painting only she could appreciate. Kay could see into the past, which she couldn't do, but her nose told a similar story. The near past locked in the surroundings in a tapestry of telling breezes. Sam liked smelling Kay almost as much as she enjoyed looking at him. But today she got nothing. She took in a deep breath. Her nose wasn't stopped up like that time they went to Fazo to enjoy the seaside, and she was miserable with allergies. She was breathing normally. Her Snugs medallion fouled her ability to smell, but she wasn't wearing it at the moment. She felt the first few fingers of panic stretch out and wrap around her throat. Can't smell. Why can't I smell? Where is Kay? Kay! She tried to compose herself and think rationally. She must be sick. Possibly a holdover side effect from the hemolyzer. That must be it. Feeling a bit lost without her nose and without Kay, Sam checked the various sitting rooms and alcoves they frequented. Nothing. No Kay. She soothed herself with reassuring excuses. He must have gone down to the Capricos Hall to eat and get a good start on the day. Perhaps he was out in the grove getting some air, or down in the village getting her a nice surprise. Yes, that must be it. She went down and came out of their tower, gliding across the polished castle tiles. From somewhere down the great central corridor came a peculiar sound. What was that? Sam wondered. She recalled hearing it in her sleep. It was an unpleasant and distracting sound. It was a sound that made her angry. She moved down the corridor, checking the nooks and crannies for the source of the sound. She listened, heard nothing. Her nerves must be playing tricks on her. Time to find Kay and move on from this odd start to the morning. She headed down the corridor to the Capricos Hall where they always took their breakfast. Sam went down the corridor, rounded a few corners, and there was the Capricos Hall, lined with colorful hanging house banners. The long table that could seat hundreds was empty. What was this? Where was Kay? Frustrated, she went to Zyodal Tower to locate Kay's cousin, Sarah. The tower was locked tight. Odd. Sarah only locked her tower when she wasn't there for an extended period of time. With growing confusion, she went to find Sarah's brother, Philip, and his love, Thomasina the 19th of Wham. Gone. Makara Tower was locked up as well. She checked the monitor. Philip's ship, the Goshawk, was gone from its spot in the grove. Kai? Gone. The professor too, and their son, Sebastian. Her life with Kay and her friends suddenly seemed like a pleasant dream she had woken up from, with the stark realities of a scentless, lonely life setting in on her. She felt a tantrum coming on, a real shouting, castle-damaging rage, like those she had been known for as a child. For Kay's sake, she had always managed to keep her fits under control and act like a regal Vith lady, but without Kay and her friends, she was lapsing fast. She desperately wanted to break something. With her vast monoma strength, she was capable of breaking quite a lot. Sam stormed into the staff area of the kitchen. It was rather surreal to see living people again, to hear the clatter of dishes and the steady rumble from the stoves. The staff was a motley collection of scion ladies from the village, tall, short, skinny, chubby, all a happy, apron-wearing group. The kitchens always smelled so good, with the notes of baking bread and fresh coffee lingering on the air, though Sam could smell none of that at the moment. The staff stopped what they were doing, delighted to see her. "Nee Countess! It's so good to see you up and around." "Where is my husband?" "Out of the province, my Countess." "What? He was called away," they said. "Called away? During the night? Well, where has he gone?" Sam demanded. "My Countess, I don't know." Sam whirled around, was ready to fly into a frothing rage right there in the kitchen in front of the staff. That sound again. Sam covered her ears. "What is that bloody sound?" Sam cried. The kitchen staff uneasily exchanged glances. "My Countess?" one of them said. "That noise! Don't any of you hear that? That ringing sound?" No, my Countess, I'm sorry." Sam was ready to explode. How could they not hear that? "Should we call for a hospitaller, new Countess?" another asked. Sam wanted to refuse, to say she was fine, but something was not right. Not right at all. Yes, I think that might be in order, thank you." Another staff member came in. It was Countess Sigillis' personal assistant, Andorra. "Nee Countess, welcome awake," she said. "This is most convenient, as there is a pending message for you. It came in on the Countess's private terminal. The sender claims it is most urgent." Sam struggled to compose herself. "An urgent message? In the Countess's study? For me? You are the ranking household member in residence at this time, with Lord Blanchford and Countess Sigillis out of the league for the time being." Sam noticed the kitchen staff standing there with their pins and ladles, blinking at her. "Thank you," she said, feeling embarrassed and on the spot. "I shall take the message at once. Please, everyone, carry on." "My Countess?" one of the staff asked as she exited. "Shall we make your favorite breakfast?" Yes, thank you. I would like that." Andorra escorted her to Countess Sigillis' personal study in the northern wing of the castle, near the Palatine courtyard, locked up tight as usual in her absence. Countess Sigillis was out of the league, along with Captain Davidge, Kay's younger sister Hathaline, and his younger brother Mazer. They were not expected to return for several months. Sam made a note to go to the grove every day to pray for their safe return. Andorra unlocked the door and invited Sam in. Inside was Countess Sigillis' study, 3 floors high, full of light, ringed with balconies. Giant windows facing the wooded passes of the Palatine admitted an abundance of natural light, giving the room a healthy greenish glow. The Countess's somewhat unassuming desk sat in the center of the room. Just a blotter and a glyph controller terminal adorned its surface. A sketching board where she dreamed up her latest fabric patterns and fashions sat near her desk. A single bench on Dragon Ball feet, upholstered in striking crushed velvet, sat opposite the desk. Sam had sat on that bench many times, just never without Countess Sigillis there. Her memory calmed Sam a bit. The study was splendid, and Sam liked the room very much. "Just there," Nee Countess Andorra said. At the desk, the Countess's hollow terminal blinked innocently with a single tiny red light. Sam seated herself behind the desk, taking in the surroundings from the unfamiliar vantage point. "Thank you, Andorra. Please, give me this room. I shall lock up once I'm finished." "As you wish, my Countess." Andorra bowed and left the room on hollow footsteps, shutting the door behind her. Sam adjusted her messy black hair and took a deep breath. When she was ready, she accepted the message. "Kay, is that you?" she asked hopefully. On the comm screen appeared a handsome man with short, sandy hair, wearing a pristine hospitaller uniform. He was thin and studious, seated with formal grace, wearing his black and silver uniform with flawless, wrinkle-free care. Unlike the smiling and familiar Inez and Bethriel of Moan, who were the only hospitallers Sam had much acquaintance with, this man was stern and businesslike. "Nee Countess Sammy Doran of Blanchford?" the man asked. He had an odd accent. Sam couldn't place it. He certainly wasn't a Vith. It was somewhat shocking to Sam to hear her own name spoken out loud. It had been such a strange morning. "Yes," she said. "May I help you, please, sir?" The man answered in workmanlike manner. "My name is Rahl, Lord of Niles. I am a member of the Grand Order of Hospitallers." "I see," Sam said. Well, this is fast, I must say. We just placed the comm to have someone come and check me over. Where is Niles, please? Rawl smiled slightly. HOBM, Nee Countess, near the Gold Coast. I am a Hobanite. Ah, HOBM, I have a message from your husband waiting. Sam jumped out of her seat. Kay? My husband? Sam placed her hand over her heart. At last. Quite. I have him standing by. However, before I can connect you to him, I must ask you a series of questions. These questions might seem a bit odd, but I can assure you they are very pertinent, and I urge you to answer them thoughtfully. Sam had no idea what to make of this, but the promise of speaking to Kay was all important to her. She would answer as many of Rawl's silly questions as he cared to offer. Yes, of course, she said, reseating herself. Please, I am most eager to speak to my husband. Rawl began. Thank you. What time is it, please? What time is it? Sam looked around for a clock, but saw none. I'm not certain, sir. Morning, perhaps. Rawl noted it down. I see. And how are you feeling this morning? How am I feeling? Fine. I'm having difficulty smelling. I can't smell anything. Rawl didn't react. I see. That's not unexpected. Please bear it no mind. Not unexpected? I don't understand. The sense of smell is critical to my people. Rawl was unmoved. Ah yes, monomas. Our baseline data on monomas are poor. Sam was confused. Your what? We will account for it in the future, rest assured. Do you have any other maladies to report? Well, yes, frankly, I'm feeling a bit confused this morning, and I'm seeing and hearing things. That seemed to get Rawl's attention. He lifted his gaze and cocked his brow. You're hearing and seeing things? He asked in his droll accent. Impossible. I tell you, sir, I am hallucinating a bit, and I'm hearing strange sounds. Rawl checked his screens. Your stagger charts are all within acceptable parameters. All is running as it should be. Your hearing should be just fine, and you are certainly not hallucinating. Your RDP is running as normal. My what? Lord Niles, I don't understand. Tell me what you're hearing. Rawl said in a slightly annoyed voice. Please answer accurately. Correct data are critical. A ringing sound. I don't like it. It gets in my head, makes me confused and uneasy. It's a frustrating sound to have to hear. Rawl appeared puzzled. He checked his screens once or twice more. Ringing? Are you sure? Sam was close to hysterics. Of course I'm sure! Rawl noted it down. Nee Countess Samidoran, I'll ask you to remain calm. That is of key importance. I'm sorry you're hearing things. We'll look into it, he announced. We are monitoring the situation. Please don't be concerned. Sam was quite confused. You will? Are you going to send someone or prescribe me some medication? Rawl didn't offer much of an answer. We'll take care of it. Nee Countess, meanwhile, your husband awaits. I'm certain you're eager to speak to him. Sam shuffled in her seat. Yes, I am. Before I can connect you, I need for you to follow my next set of instructions exactly. Are you ready? Sam was full of all sorts of questions. Why couldn't he simply connect her to Kay? What was all of this? Was it some sort of odd HOBM ritual she was unaware of? She thought it best simply to comply and get to Kay as quickly as possible. Yes, she said, I'm ready. Please repeat after me. About. Sam hesitated. About what, please? Rawl was rather impatient. Nee Countess, I need you to repeat the word exactly. Nothing more, nothing less. He pressed a few buttons at his end. Are you ready? Yes. Are you certain? Yes. About, he said again. About, she repeated. Continue. Continue. Sam noticed a change in the intensity of light coming from outside. She maintained her focus. Aftermath, Rawl said. Aftermath? Sam repeated. Melancholy. Melancholy. Thank you, Rawl said, closing his screens out and flipping a few switches. Well done. Now, my prescription for your issue with seeing and hearing things is to relax. I detect you are unsettled, full of anxiety, heart rate, and brain scans elevated significantly. You should ease your mind, Countess. Sam heard something coming from the palanquin. There it is! The ringing! I just heard it! She cried. Rawl checked his screens again. Something does seem to be amiss. Yes, I see it here. Countess, I will ask, where is your favorite place to be in the castle? My favorite place? I have many. Choose one, please. There is a reading room in our tower where Kay and I like to spend our evenings. It's a place we go to relax. I am working on embroidering a pillow there. Countess Sigillis taught me. Rawl appeared to only be half listening. I see, he said. Go there now, please. But what about Kay? Lord Niles, I demand to speak to my husband. I will send his communication to the reading room. It is very important you remain calm and be at rest. Go there now, please. I insist. You shall speak to your husband the moment you arrive, and do not stray. Go there directly. The screen went dead before Sam could protest further. Frustrated and a bit confused, she decided to blink to the reading room to get there as quickly as possible. As usual, she reached up to remove her Snugs medallion as it impeded her ability to blink, but the medallion was not there. Odd, she never went anywhere without Snugs. The north was too frigid for her to survive, and even safe inside the castle, she found it too drafty and cold for her liking. Snugs corrected all of that. It was a wonder in Silvertech that Aunt Poe, in her genius, had created just for Sam. No Snugs. She didn't feel cold, though. She felt perfectly comfortable, which could not be. Feeling herself on the confused outskirts of a nightmare, Sam needed to speak to Kay at once to hear his reassuring voice. She tried to blink. It failed. She really didn't expect it to work. Why should it? The Malik'ed, the Hemalizer, had addled her in a number of ways. Can't smell, can't blink, not cold, hearing things, seeing ghosts. She ran from the study, forgetting to lock the door behind her as promised. Moving like a deer, she ran down the corridor and soon reached the entrance to their tower. She heard continuous ringing the entire way. She ignored the sound. She covered her ears as she bolted up the stairs of her tower, taking the 20 floors like nothing. At least her monomus speed and constitution never failed her. At last, the correct floor. She flew down the hallway and entered the reading room, and at once the familiar comfort of the room soothed and eased her mind. Always eager to incorporate things that she liked into her own spaces, she had attempted to reproduce Sarah's mystery library into this reading room, moving the furniture around and stocking the shelves full of books. Kay had taken her to Bern, and she bought dozens to fill the shelves, though she mostly picked ones she thought were pretty and paid no attention to subject matter. So she had a wild mashup of books, none of which she had read yet. She also had a custom-made sofa added and a Nadine wood table with full cone terminal and a glyph controller. Sam loved sitting in the room with Kay and their friends. She picked up the glyph and powered on the terminal. It came to life. "Sam?" came Kay's voice. "Kay!" she crawled out, her voice flecked with a tinge of panic. "Kay, is that you?" She honestly hadn't expected a reply. But, "It's me, Sam," came Kay's voice. Sam's heart burst from its melancholy cage, and she sat up on the sofa, smiling from ear to ear. "I can't see you." "I'm sorry, there's not but an old comm terminal here, no video." "It's all right. I have been so worried. I woke up this morning and everybody was gone. It was like a bad dream. I should be very angry, but I cannot be cross with you, Kay. I love you so. Hearing your voice is just what I needed. Where are you?" "I was called away. I'm sorry. I had immediate business to attend to. Such things happen." Sam was hurt. "And you didn't get me? I would have liked to come with you." "I'm sorry. You were under the influence of the Malik'ed. You needed your rest after all that happened. I didn't want to disturb you. How are you feeling?" "I'm all right. Just a little unsettled. I also can't smell anything." Kay hesitated before answering. "It must be from the Malik'ed. I'm certain it'll come back on its own." "When are you coming home?" "Soon. This very day. I'm nearly finished. Would you like me to bring you a present?" You're all I want. Come home to me. Where are you right now, Sam? Kay asked. His voice sounded markedly strained. Sam was concerned. I'm in our favorite reading room, snuggled up on the couch. I'll not leave until you return. You know, I see many flaws on this pillow I embroidered. I need to make another one and do it better. It was your first attempt. Mistakes are to be expected. I cherish it because you made it. Are you coming home soon, Kay? By dinner, perhaps? May I expect you? I'll try, darling. I'll try. And may we head south to the lake this month's end? The moon phases are correct. I'd like to continue working on our jar. I cannot wait to be pregnant with our children, to feel them grow in my belly. I long for it. There was no reply over the comm. Sam was fearful the connection had been lost. Kay, she asked, are you still there? He replied, Yes, I'm sorry. I must be away, darling, and conclude my business. There is much to do, and I wish to be home as soon as possible to share dinner with my beloved wife. Sam felt refreshed and invigorated. Kay would be home by dinner time. I love you, Kay, she said in Annui, and I love you too. Sam sat in the reading room all day, working on her pillow, as promised. She felt cozy and comfortable there. Countess Sigillis had her study, Sarah her library, and Sam had her closet and reading room, her office, her home inside of home. Sitting on the couch, her sandals parked at the foot of the couch, legs tucked up underneath her, she called down to the staff and had her breakfast and then lunch brought up to her. She couldn't wait until Kay got home. She also couldn't wait until her nose started working again. She would ask Kay to take her to see Inez or Bethriel of Moan as soon as possible. She didn't feel comfortable with that Rawl fellow at all. He seemed to have something up his sleeve, and he was from HOBM. Kay and his family often talked about HOBM in a somewhat condescending fashion, so Sam's view of HOBMites was somewhat skewed. Rawl was from HOBM. HOBMites are shifty and unreliable, therefore this Rawl fellow must also be shifty and reliable as well. The comm flashed. A message was pending. Sam put her pillow aside and picked up her glyph controller, giving it a wave. Perhaps it was Kay again. It must be Kay. The comm connected. Sam! Came Sarah's loud voice. Sam was elated. Sam loved Sarah, even though the exuberant blue-haired girl, Kay's cousin, often annoyed her. Sarah, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's so good to hear your voice. Where are you? Never mind, Sam. The question is, where are you? Me? I'm in our reading room in Zorn Tower, working on my pillow. I'm waiting for Kay to come home. Are you coming as well? Sewing? You're sewing? Sarah said in dismay. That just takes the cake. How do you say sewing in Annui? What? The word is bival. It's not quite a direct translation. It means to weave with yarn. Okay, whatever. Stop bivaling. They got you all messed up, Sam. I'm trying to get things sorted out here for you. Sam was confused. They? Who's they? These nutty hospitallers on HOBM. Looks like they're trying to run a standard engine on you, but that simply will not do. It's okay. I'm fixing it now because I love you. You know I love you, right, Sam, even though we're always fighting out in the grove? Sarah, what are you talking about? Never mind. First off, you need your Snugs medallion. Sam instinctively placed her hand on her chest between her breasts. No Snugs. You're not wearing your medallion, right? Sarah said. I'm not, but I'm not feeling cold at the moment. Oh yeah? Sarah said. How about now? All at once, Sam felt the frosty killing hand of the north wrap around her, giving her goose flesh, nearly taking her breath away. Cold was the bane of the Monomas, and was quickly fatal for them if shelter was unavailable. Your Snugs is sitting on the shelf, Sam. Go get it. Sam got up, and the floor felt like solid ice under her feet. Hugging herself for warmth, shivering, shuffling about, she found her medallion sitting nearby. She put it on, and felt the immediate, comforting glow of warmth form around her. The hummingbird's wings flapped across the face of the medallion as usual. She sighed in relief. Thanks, Sarah, she said, returning to the couch. How did you know it was there? Come on, Sam, Sarah replied over the comm. I saw you leave it the other day. You did? Yep. Sam honestly couldn't remember leaving her medallion here in the reading room. But Sarah sometimes had an amazing eye for detail. Sam had to give her that. She was just glad to have it back. So, what are they making in the kitchens right now? Sarah asked. I don't know. I can't smell anything right now. Really? Are you sure? Go ahead. Take a whiff. Don't worry about taking your medallion off. Just take a whiff. Sam took a deep breath through her nose. Sure enough, the numb nothingness that had been there only moments before was gone. When she wore her medallion, she could usually detect only the strongest of smells. But now she took in a vast array of scents, the flood of information filling in the empty spots in her mind that was thirsting for input. She smelled the frost in the air, the piney, earthy smells from the trees in the grove, the briny salt from the nearby bay, the rich sugars in the Nadine tree's sap, the vellum pages of her books, the dust in the carpeting, and the pleasant aromas of yeast, breads, and sauces from the kitchens. They were making rib cat stew again in the vats, and a honey ham or two, and some fried onions and hash, thick chewy bread, Onara style, and a rich fruit tart smothered in homemade whipped cream. Kay's father, Lord Stavage, after having been nearly starved as a child, had a standing rule that food should always be available in the castle for those who were hungry, so the kitchens were always going day and night. Sam had developed a hearty appetite for Vith food, so tasty and filling. Her mouth watered. She had never told Kay, but she had gained 20 pounds since their wedding, was having issues fitting into some of her older clothes. Luckily, she was so tall and wiry that her extra weight was evenly distributed across her frame. It didn't show too much. She burst into a smile. "Oh, yes, I can smell once more, even with my medallion on. It's wonderful, Sarah. Wonderful. Great. See, those guys are a bunch of amateurs." Who are?" "The damn Hospitallers," Sarah responded. "Now, one more thing. This situation they've got set up for you is completely unacceptable, right? And I'm going to fix it for you. Why am I doing this? Because I love you." "What, Sarah, are you drunk?" "I'm just sitting here quietly waiting for Kay to get home, and I intend to stay in here until he does. Shouldn't be more than a few hours. I want you to be here as well. Wherever you are, come home, please. I love you too." I'm all over the place, Sam. Listen, you are stronger than a dozen men. You can see the future, and you can take a person's head off with one swipe of those awesome claws I love so much. You need not be sitting there with your shoes off, working on a pillow. You should be out and about, kicking butt. "Well, perhaps, Sarah, the first person whose butt I kick will be yours for instigating this whole Perlum incident with the Wonderlux. How about that?" Sarah laughed. "Oh, yeah? Well, tell you what. Come to the window." "Why?" "Just take a peek out the window. Trust me." Sam stood and went to the window. She was in for the shock of her life. And with that, we conclude Chapter 1, Alone. Couple of inside notes. Sam mentions to Rawl and to Sarah that she was seeing things and hearing things, but if you listen carefully to the text, she was only hearing things. Seeing things was from a previous draft where she was seeing a figure following her throughout the castle, and she even was ready to fight it to the death. But I thought it slowed the story down too much, so I took out the hallucination part. But I forgot, I didn't edit all of it out, so when they say she was hearing and seeing things, I missed those items of text, and they remain of the hallucination part. Excuse me, I'm human. I messed it up in later editions. If we consolidate these Bloodstein books into one book, I'll take that. I'll fix that. But for now, it's just an interesting little vestige of something that was there but is no longer there. Sort of like the fingers in a whale's flipper. Just a vestige of the past. So we see the story is off to a rousing start. Very different from the Perlum book so far. Not quite sure what's going on with Sam. Maybe some of you are really keen on how my mind works. You might have some thoughts about what Sam is experiencing and why. Hard to say, but we will find out as the story progresses, and this short beginning part concludes. Next week, we continue Chapter 2, Part 1, Inez and Talaran, and we'll see if we can make some sense out of this craziness. So, until then, this is Ren Presents. I'm your host, Ren. Peace out.